Okay, so again, few things you got to remember as you go through this search process. The first is you have to know your risk tolerance. There are points in your life where you have a mortgage and a spouse or partner and 3 kids that have grown accustomed to eating food, and you're not in a position where you can take a low cash salary and hope that the equity turns into something. This is not possible. Other times in your life, perhaps you can. Do you feel more comfortable swinging for the fence, knowing that there's a 99% chance your company is going to blow up? Or would you rather work at a larger, more stable, perhaps private equity backed company where it's unlikely that it's going to become the next Google or Apple, but it is pretty likely that they are going to sell that business one day and your equity might be worth something? You got to think about where on that spectrum you fall. I would encourage you to always assume that any equity you receive is a lottery ticket. And I say that because having been doing this 25 years, the percentage of times that equity turns into a meaningful amount of money for an employee, even an executive, is very, very low. There's not a lot of data on it. My instinct is that it's far less than 5%. 5% of the time, your equity will be worth something meaningful. Yeah, it might be worth $1,000, $10,000, whatever. But for it to be worth 100,000 or millions of dollars, which is of course what you will be promised and told, the business has to perform very well. It has to exit, meaning go public or sell. It has to do that at a high multiple. Then the investors have to get their money out first, and usually a multiple of what they invested. Oh, and then you might get some of the cash that's left over. It just doesn't happen often. So as you do your math, as you think about joining a company, and I'm not saying this to pee on your parade, I'm just saying it to be realistic. The safe bet is to say, you know what, whether I'm getting 1,000 shares or 5,000 options, or someone's giving me 5% of the company, whatever it is, if you go into it with the mindset that that is a lottery ticket that you can put in a drawer and one day it may be worth a fortune, but you're either learning a ton or you're earning enough on cash compensation, or hopefully both, then it really de-emphasizes the importance of the equity. I'm a big believer in equity. It unifies the team. It aligns interests with investors. But the reality is it just doesn't pay off anywhere as often as people think.
Question: what sort of equity percentage are PE and VC firms willing to let go of to recruit a chief legal officer or other C-suite position, but not the CEO?
It's all over the map. It's anywhere literally from 0, which is very common. We just don't give equity to anyone other than the CEO. It could be 5 or 10% for a CEO. For a chief legal officer, obviously it's not going to be 5 or 10%. It might be 1%. It might be 0.5%. It might be a sliver. Again, I would picture it as a lottery ticket. I wouldn't join just for that. And negotiate as much as you can get, but don't assume it's going to be worth anything. But the answer is just so broad that it's useless to throw out numbers.